I was muted. um, I guess welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Everybody decided to bail on me today, I guess. Erin was going to come on here, and Rocky had to do some, research for tomorrow's show. But I guess I'm going to try and sit on here and wing it. I'm not very good at talking to myself. So bear with me. So today kind of want to go over a skill called drop the rope. And it helps with like self-regulation, self-management, judgment. Thanks, honey. I will try. So basically drop the rope, if you will. Picture a tug of war over like this endless pit of worry and chaos and like whatever, all of these things that you can't control, you have no control of, but you sit there and you keep carrying these things with you, like your past and your addictions and like all of these stigmas that go along with these things. And you're playing a tug of rope with it, and you can't really move forward because if you do like continue to tug, you're just going to fall into that pit. Keep going. But like if you choose to drop the rope and not in a way where you're like giving up, but you're just I don't know. Not like giving up, but you're dropping the rope and choosing not to fight battles that aren't yours to fight. Getting pissed off at somebody, trying to get revenge on somebody, like especially after a breakup. Boy, have I done dumb shit like that. Getting online, running my mouth, saying shitty things about people. Like, really, that's not even my fight. That's not even my place to tell people what they're all about. It's just, I don't know. Kind of having a little bit of trouble with this. Anyway, I actually think that I'm just going to jump off of here because it's really hard to do without people to bounce my my ideas off of. Where can you sign on with me? Oh, hang on a second. Maybe I can get you a link here. I'll get you a StreamYard link. Sorry, guys. Hang on just a minute. That's better.
How about now, babe? Okay, so we're talking about drop the rope, huh?
Yes. Thank you
Okay,
for
hang on.
being here with me.
It's not the easiest thing to do, I know.
No, it's not. And I was never any good at improv.
So, dropping the rope is what? What's the basis for it? So we're going to talk about dropping the rope. We're talking about dropping a thought process, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
It's
when we talk about
basically all
dropping
of those unresolved feelings, like your anxiety, worry, frustration, anger, all of those things. Kind of, I was
so
talking about that emotional elevator last week. Level
yeah.
1 is anger, fury, blame. Level 2 is disappointment, sadness, and hurt. Level 3 is fear, insecurity, bad memories, empathy, and regret. And level 5 is love, solutions, wishes, and connection.
So having said all that, I'm going to play devil's advocate for this for a little bit. How else are we supposed to survive in an environment where relationships tend to be as disposable as the friends we come across on social media, Snapchat, Facebook? Um, we spend a lot of time talking on those platforms. There are your parasocial relationships begin to develop, and then we get into the real thing. How do we drop the rope? How do we? So if we're going to go through all of those feelings, why should we? We live in a society that our grocery bags are just as disposable as our friends, right? So how do you overcome this idea that I need those tools to survive the difficulties of even trying to be a part of someone else's life or them be a part of my life in this world? Because that's for most people that have been through, more than one relationship or a couple of them. Those are the defense mechanisms that they develop first. And we don't often see any kind of counteracts to that, any kind of vision, if you will, of individuals that have successfully overcome that. What does that look like, Shanae?
What do you mean?
So if we're going to talk about dropping the rope, right? That's a defense mechanism, right? That's what so many people use to survive, right? Instead of dropping the rope, we hang on to all of those negative thoughts, actions, and emotions because we build that into the framework that protects us from the pain of loss after a relationship is over. So when you talk about drop the rope, are you talking about creating a vulnerability or building a courage? Are we talking about simply not engaging in those thought processes that have brought us to a crossroads of yet another ended relationship? So when you say drop the rope, what exactly are we discussing? Are we discussing first thought wrong?
No, well, it's kind of I guess it can be incorporated in with first thought wrong. All of the steps kind of overlay into each other essentially at the end.
So
You're
that's
using
kind of
all
my
of them.
point. That's kind of my point is all of those things are things that we use to build a shelter for those most vulnerable aspects of who we are. So
So in the mental health exercise that I have here,
yeah.
the objective of the exercise, doing this exercise, is to cultivate emotional resilience and acceptance by learning to drop the rope in situations that cause us stress and anxiety.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that just a little bit? What's that exercise look like?
So first you have to identify the struggle. Think about the situation, the relationship, the desire, or like that is the desire or vice that's causing you distress. And
Right.
then, like, I suggest journaling this stuff,
Yeah, you never go wrong
honestly,
writing it down.
and write down the details of what you're struggling with. And
You know, one of
you
the most
kind of,
challenging aspects.
when you're writing the details of what you're struggling with, you're navigating through those 5 levels of emotions, this emotional elevator.
The first thought that comes to my mind when you talk about that is our willingness to be honest with ourselves about it.
Oh yes, you have to have radical accountability, and you know, when you're going through all of it, you have to be willing to see your own bullshit and take responsibility for your part and only your part.
Yeah, that's the real hard part, because I've said it many times. You know, after a breakup, you know, guys walk around with the word "fool" like it's written in neon letters across their forehead. You fool. And I'm sure girls feel the same way. Women feel the same way. Cannot believe I bought that fucker's bunch of shit. Right? That's got to be I think that's probably got to be the most difficult thing to get over, is you fell for it again. Um, so
Well,
how do you over that's
I had prepared. I'm just going to use one of my dumb bitch energy incidents as an example. And, you know, back when I was first getting clean, my emotional, like, balance was obviously way off. I was very irrational. I was extremely defensive. And when I found out, you know, the multitude of things that were going on behind my back, I was going to destroy that man
oh
in
yeah.
any way that I possibly could.
I mean, what else does society tell us to do?
Well, see,
It certainly doesn't say. I mean, the church
like,
says turn the other cheek, but that's not exactly how we're built.
it's like bitching about the circus, but you still buy tickets and go and sit and watch anyway, repeatedly.
Well, yeah. You know, there's a lot of familiarity of those things. We know how to function in chaotic environments, right? We continue to use those thought patterns and processes that you outlined as that framework to protect ourselves, but we become so institutionalized in our own thought processes, they become familiar. Well, it's easy to do that. I can act that way. I know how. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, right? That kind of stuff that's a real challenge. I think maybe that's where the honesty would come in the most, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that chaos. We become so familiar with it, it becomes
when you're in survival mode, you thrive off
yeah.
the chaos. That's all you know. So situation after situation, and you keep acting in a reactionary way, in anger and in fear, you're gonna get some interesting results for it. I guarantee it. And it's not always going to be the things you want. It's like a Christian praying for patience. You're going to fucking get it.
You're going to get the opportunity to practice it.
And it's not going to be the way that you want it, because not being able to be responsible for and accountable for your emotions and the reactions that you have based off of those emotions in any situation.
And that's true. But like I say, becomes so familiar, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We get stuck in that loop. We get stuck in that cycle, picking the same kind of
people,
who knows really what's behind the thought
situations.
Process. Yeah, and who knows what's really behind the thought process? But there's something in there. Oh, and I think do you think at the bottom of it that there's always the underlying thought of, I'm woman enough to change that person. I'm man enough to be that woman's man. I am enough to make the difference in this person's life. And then when it fails, because we invariably pick individuals that they could give a fuck less whether or not change is a part of the equation. Why can't you accept me as I am? That's how you got, all that nonsense.
That happens in life when you are not clear about your value, what you value and what you believe in, and you're not upfront with your boundaries in the beginning and say, okay, this is this and that is that, and we can talk about this. When you're not open to doing those things in a relationship, or you don't even know how to function in that
Yep.
way, because of all the chaos that has gone on in your past, it's a real scary thing when you find a human being that does those things. And immediately, knee-jerk reaction, first thought wrong. The first thing we do usually is in that first level of the elevator. We're here, we're confronting the raw energy of our frustration with this situation or the people. And what kind of power that has over us.
Okay, so that explains why there's no butt sex on the first date. I mean, that. Thank you for opening that up. I've been so confused about that for a long time.
What? Yuck. Ew.
That's for all our
Yeah.
listeners. That's for everyone to understand this, and this is why that's not going to happen most of the time. I'm just telling you. And if it does, consider it a red flag. Unless you're gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
So
but
gross. So once you move through that first level of anger, you have your sadness and your hurt and your disappointment, and you have to sit with your sorrow, and you have to think about how they shape our experiences, or how they
So
shaped that experience.
the avoidance of that
Can,
pain.
can I finish? Can I finish
Yes.
just reading these three levels?
Yeah.
This third level is insecurity, fury, bad memories, and deep wounds. We get even deeper in our vulnerability, and we recognize the scars that we have to heal, like when people trigger us in certain situations.
I don't know anything about
And
triggering people.
level 5 is when you've gone through everything else. I suppose this could kind of be like the 5 stages of grief. But anyway, level 5 is love, solutions, wishes, and connection. And this is the part where we end up embracing like the positivity of it, and we have fulfillment in whatever it is that we're doing, whether we're dropping the rope or getting rid of all of that anxiety with it that comes with your first thought wrong and reactionary behavior.
So there's that. So here's the real challenge. So when you read it out like that, it sounds like a simple thing. But first and foremost, you need to understand that most people, and I hate to be this way, and I include myself in this statement, most people are cowards when it comes to facing their emotional pain, when it comes to admitting what the trauma might be, when it comes to admitting where that emotional pain might have originated. And the second problem with it is courage isn't the action in the absence of fear, it's action in the face of fear. Well, people with courage have something to work towards. They understand. A soldier on the battlefield knows he's going to get a ribbon, right? If he gets shot, he gets Purple Heart. If he saves his buddy's life, there's a Silver Star, a Bronze Star, Silver Star, Medal of Honor, all those things. We have no idea in this culture what it looks like to sit with that grief and what the other side looks like. See, the most common thing that comes up is the grass ain't always greener. Well, that depends. See, that we have no image, we have no clear depiction of what it means to, one, I'm afraid to sit with this pain because it's going to hurt. I'm going to weep. I'm going to feel debilitated. I'm going to feel physically ill. I'm going to be in the dark. The physical pain of a broken heart, while it may be an emotional thing, it registers every bit as a real wound in the mind. All the studies that have gone on show that's a real thing. So when we start talking about getting through all that, what's it look like on the other side? What am I supposed to expect? I've never seen anyone do it.
The longer you sit in the dark, eventually your eyes adjust to the light and you start to see, the reasons why. I know for a long time, that very first year I was sober, I was a dry drunk and I wasn't working on anything, and I was holding on to so many things that were keeping me stuck from moving, preventing me from forward motion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I guess
until I really got serious with myself about my own bullshit, like was really willing to admit to myself, you know, the nature of my wrongs and drop that whole fucking tough girl or whatever it is, you know, like I'm going to stand my ground, I'm going to protect myself, I'm going to continue to build this wall and not be vulnerable, not have accountability, not.
so. So you're suggesting that well, it's kind of like we always say. I always say, lean into the obstacle. The obstacle is the path. Lean into it. Bear up under the fucking load. Man up on some shit. Be a fucking woman, right? You're in this situation. Deal with it. Because you're right. You cannot circumvent that the difficulties of emotional pain. You can't circumvent them. Our best efforts. I mean, I think it's critical to understand. Our best efforts, all it has done is built for us that framework that continues to cripple relationship after relationship, including the relationship with ourselves. Taking the time to sit there and fucking hurt, right? See, with the death of a loved one, you don't have a choice, right? With a relationship, there's always a quick fix, and I think that's the
Well, yeah,
that's
what's the famous saying? The only way to get over it is to get under another one.
fuck yeah, the first one that gets laid and looks the best doing it wins the game, right? So that whole scenario there cripples our ability to come out the other side and form this. We kind of laugh about the Disney princess and we vilify it in a lot of ways, but I think somewhere along the way, people want that happily ever after. See,
Well,
but it's such an alien concept to everything we've experienced up to this point for so many people. For so many people, they have no idea that such a thing is even remotely a reality. So we compromise. This is good enough. This will work for now. Yeah, I got a black eye, but it'll go away. And so the justifications, all these other things, the complications of emotional development. We're so lost in the Western world with regards to most of it.
Well, most people don't even have to talk to each other face to face now. They can just send a text message or an email and just be like, hey, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
this isn't happening. Block.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely
The
right.
attempts at character assassination and everything else. Trust I've fucking done
Well,
it.
there has to be a justification for the failure. The character assassination is the one thing that reinforces the ability to justify why it broke down. Well, it wasn't my fault. That motherfucker shuffle them cards again. That motherfucker's, or that goofy broad. It's if there's someone to blame.
Finger, blame shifting, gaslighting, all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
if there's someone to blame, we never have to live up to our responsibility. And see, this kind of thing that one of President Eisenhower's scientific advisors told him that 50% of the population is the majority of the population is below 50% intelligent, or most of them are dumber than a sack of cat meat. Right? So it's a real challenge, and we can look at it by what's going on in our world today and say, oh yeah, he's probably right. So when we're talking about this kind of development, where are our examples? I mean, I'm lucky enough to have Mom and Grant, right? I mean, look at the example they've set with each other. I mean, he built her the fairy tale from a
Those are the
blind
kind
date.
of examples. I'm just talking about people who want to do this for themselves, like who
So yeah, so doing it for ourselves, what do we look like on the other side? What will I look like?
we don't know what we look like until we put
Well,
those things
do we,
into play.
I mean, do we not? Do we not have a reasonable expectation that if we do this work, that at the end of the day, I'll be comfortable in my own skin?
Expectation is a resentment waiting to happen.
Your thoughts create your reality.
Yes, so if you're all anxiety filled and pissed off and angry and you want to fuck something
Right.
up and you're like, my life is shit and this and that, well, then your reactions, your actions and behavior in that moment are probably going to be pretty bad. But if you turn your thoughts, having gone through the process of like everything that I'm talking about right now, you turn your thoughts, well, then you have a different reaction, don't you? And you have a different reality, you have a different outcome. And by practicing these things repeatedly, it has gotten me to a point in my life where I'm able to function without fucking being a crazy bitch.
I'm going to make so much fun of you here in just a minute.
No, you're not.
You faked it till you made it.
No, I didn't.
So the idea that an expectation is resentment waiting to happen, I think that's also a foundation of a thought. The waiting for the other shoe to drop, that absolutely has to go. That has no place in the kind of self-exploration that we're talking about.
Well, yeah, it's
you know what I mean? Yeah, it's Eager's feast. That I think that's one of the things that should be worked on, especially with women. I mean, the man bear thing. What is it? 1 in 3 are somehow abused or so, and you'll never meet a man that's done it. You'll never meet some dude that said, "Oh yeah, I beat her ass on a regular. She needed it." There's not a man out there that's going to say that. There's not a man out there that's going to say, "Well, she was kind of drunk, so I went in and took advantage." There's not a man out there that's going to say that, right? So when you see all of these women go through all of these things, how do they create an image of what they're supposed to love when they have to carry the scars of that abuse?
Well, they have to unlearn all of those things, don't they? They kind of have to rewire their brain. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for every woman.
Right. So I think that's the thing that I'm getting at is that vision of being able to heal. I wonder sometimes if individuals even ain't no joke. I hate that other shoe with a fucking passion. Yeah, exactly. How do we create that image? So the work that you and the other ladies are doing on here in creating that image of what it means to get through to that other side is fundamental to the success of everything you're trying to do, is creating that image. You know what I mean? Because it's going to hurt and it's going to be fucking scary. And people are going to feel alone. And nobody wants to feel that kind of loneliness, especially women. When the whole society values beauty and youth, and you have all these people more than willing to pick it apart, and it's very difficult. I think what you're working on here, from my perception, and I'm a man, and I don't know how women think, feel, or operate. I couldn't even begin to venture a fucking guess most days, right? What does that image of a woman who loves herself look like? Where's the example? How do we create that? How do we get others to believe and feel inspired by that? How do we create a hill of healing where someone sets that example?
You live it.
That's exactly it.
You have to learn you have to learn exactly what you value, what your beliefs are, and then you have to be your intrinsic self.
Yeah, what was the name of that book by the ex-Mormon lady?
Oh, The Way of Integrity.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you finished that yet?
I haven't finished it, but I have read more in it.
Have you done any of the exercises?
No, don't blaspheme. Don't you blaspheme in here.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. And I know it sounds cliche, but all of these exercises are good things, especially if you're into journaling about things. You need a good healthy outline to put things into perspective for you. And that's kind of why I wanted to start doing this stuff, because over the past couple of years, going through my old journals and things like that from treatment, and kind of knowing what I want to do with this stuff and not really knowing how to get it out there. That's
Well,
why I'm like, here are these exercises. Maybe this will help somebody. Maybe it won't. Maybe people think it's fucking dumb, but that's why doing these exercises repeatedly, just like working out at the gym, makes you stronger.
yeah, or it tears you apart.
Well, that's kind of what you have to do sometimes, is tear yourself down to build yourself back up.
There you go. That's exactly right. Okay. I'm going to have to dip, and I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation tonight.
Oh, thank you for jumping in with me, because I needed
I know
it.
how hard
I
it
wasn't
is.
gonna be.
I know exactly how hard it is. So,
I just needed a little motivation.
well, if there's one person that can get you fired up, it's got to be me.
Yeah, you do. You make my ass itch.
Good.
All right. Bye.
Carry on your conversation. Set some more examples. I will talk to you in a little while.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Love you. All right. Well, that was my boyfriend, in case anybody didn't know. He did get me kind of all riled up. Anyway, I'm gonna kind of go through this mental health drop the rope deal. And it's the instructions basically are set up like a meditation if you're going to be journaling. So you sit there and step number one is you identify the trouble. Take a moment and you think about the current situation and the relationship and the desire that is causing you stress. If you're using a journal, write down the details of what you're struggling with. 2, acknowledge your feelings, recognize and name the emotions you're experiencing, anxiety, worry, frustration, anger. Note any physical symptoms that you've been having in relation to these things. So loss of appetite, if you're having trouble sleeping, you're short with people, things are just kind of off. Now, number 3, you're sitting there, you're actually visualizing this tug of war with whatever situation that this is. You close your eyes, you imagine holding the end of the rope you're in the tug of war with, and the stressor that you're having is on the other end. And then you have to make a choice. Are you going to continue to hold on to it, or are you going to let it go? As you hold the rope, you decide you can let go at any moment. Visualize yourself releasing your grip and observe the rope falling to the ground. And then you have reflect and release. So you kind of release that tension, you take a few deep breaths, you affirm to yourself that you can care and wish for change without being consumed by anxiety over the situation. And then you practice acceptance. You either accept something or you don't. It's like shit or get off the pot. Okay? So you have to accept it, or it's like, no, you're sitting there talking about a situation with somebody, and in my personal experience, if you're any of my normie friends, you probably heard me in the past talk about my relationships, the same fucking thing over and over repeatedly about a different person. And it's like, okay, Shanae, eventually, when are you going to get it? When are you going to stop this tug of war and react differently to things so you're not, causing the same stressors over and over in your life? And I think, like, personally, for me, with dropping the rope, this has helped an immense amount, especially coupled with like first thought wrong, and just rehearsing them over and over. You have no idea how many journals and things that I have all written out of different situations, and looking back and reading them now and thinking like, gosh, I can't even believe that I thought like that, or I can't even believe that I would think to react like that. It was like some pretty dramatic, fucked up shit. That's not the person I want to be anymore. Shit don't line up the right way when you're freaking out on people and raising hell all the time. But anyway, I am going to post these 2 exercises for anybody that's interested in the Telegram channel for Real Housewives of Alberta, and then on our Facebook page, as well as on my Facebook Soulbriety page. If anybody's interested in wanting to do these journals or whatever, go ahead, take them off of there. Use it, adapt it in any way you like. Take it and use it for your own program or whatever. I hope you guys got something out of this. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Thanks to Brian for coming, and Aaron, I'm sorry you got stuck in the mud or whatever it was. Not too bad of a second show, but I think I'm gonna end her there. Hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you next Tuesday.
But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them. Fear is a tool. They think I'm hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows.